So today we are diving into a really powerful philosophical figure, the modern Samson. Now, he's not just some character in a story. He's more like an act of creation in himself. He's this defiant answer to that age-old search for meaning, especially in a world that can sometimes feel pretty meaningless.
All right, let's kick things off with a question that really gets to the heart of this whole idea. I want you to just forget everything you think you know about heroes for a second. What if a hero wasn't a person with a list of virtues, but was a pure world-defining action? That's the core concept we're going to be unpacking here. So how is this new kind of hero made? Well, that's the thing. He isn't born in the usual sense. He's created. And it happens in this one singular, powerful moment. The source material calls this the second birth, and it's a deliberate act of will that you bring about for yourself. Now, the central term for this is Tathhandlung. It's a German philosophical idea, and it basically means deed action. It comes from the philosopher Fichte, and the whole idea is that yourself, your I, isn't something you just go out and find or discover. No, it's something you create. You literally bring it into being through a sheer act of will. You declare I am, and you do it with so much force that reality itself has to stop and take notice. To put it another way, this is the exact moment you stop being a passive product of your environment, of what the source calls the dead world of all those inherited values and limitations. Instead, you become the active architect of your own reality. You don't ask for permission to exist. Your existence becomes a command. And this, right here, is the foundation of the modern Samson. But okay, this self-created being doesn't just exist in some peaceful vacuum. No, he is defined by this state of intense, unresolved tension. And in fact, this tension, well, it's the very source of his power. You see, the modern Samson exists between two extremes, two poles. On one side, you have the celestial, the world of pure spirit, of abstract ideals, the stars. And on the other side, you have the chthonic, the raw, messy, gritty reality of the body and the earth. We're talking mud, salt, and sweat. But here's the crucial point. He absolutely refuses to choose one over the other. And that refusal to choose, that is everything. He doesn't try to escape to the heavens to get away from the mud, and he doesn't sink into the mud to hide from the stars. He becomes the rope, pulled taut between them. That constant, vibrant tension, that's not some weakness he needs to resolve. That is his strength. This quote really illustrates his core function perfectly. By being that point of contact, he takes these cold, abstract ideals from the heavens and he drags them down into the real world, giving them actual form, real substance. He essentially forces the divine to experience what it truly means to be human. Okay, so he's created himself through pure will, and he's powered by this incredible tension. But how does he direct that power? Well, this leads us to the next stage of his evolution, as he moves away from any external rules to forge a new kind of law that comes entirely from within himself. Think about traditional laws for a second, or religious commandments. According to our source, these are what you'd call a not I. They're an external force that tells you thou shalt not. It's basically a chain that's placed on you from the outside, and it defines you by what you are forbidden to do. The modern Samson just throws that out and replaces it with a new vow. He internalizes the law completely. It's no longer some external no. It's an internal commander, a Roman Caesar right there inside his own soul, giving orders to his own spirit. His will becomes his law, and it is absolute and unwavering. And the consequences of doing this are just profound. First, his strength stops being some physical accident and becomes a philosophical necessity. He has, in the amazing words of the source, swallowed the lightning, and he contains that immense power within himself. His own skin becomes an iron boundary, a symbol of absolute self-mastery. And finally, because of all this, he doesn't need to compare himself to anyone else. He is his own standard. He is his own measurement. And now we arrive at the climax of his journey. How does this fully realized figure become the answer to that great modern problem of nihilism, that feeling that life is meaningless, especially after the so-called death of God? To really get his final form, we can look at Nietzsche's three metamorphoses. First, the spirit becomes a camel, right? Bearing all the heavy burdens of old values. Then it becomes a lion, destroying those values in a rebellious fury. But the modern Samson, he actually achieves the final stage, the child. He's not just a destroyer, he is a new beginning. He's a creator who can say a sacred yes to life itself.
What this represents is a radical, incredible shift in perspective. You see, in a world without God, the earth can feel like a finished tomb, a place of endings. But for the Sampson, the world is transformed. It becomes raw material, this great task just waiting for the hammer of a creator.
His very existence becomes this powerful, living declaration. From the absolute height of his self-mastery, he proclaims that we don't need a heaven, we don't need an afterlife to find meaning. He stands as the living, breathing proof that this world, right here, this earth, is enough.
So what is he in the end? What's the final takeaway? He's not just a bridge that connects a fallen world to some better future. He embodies the very act of moving forward itself. He is the crossing. He is the living act of creating meaning where there was none before. And all of this leaves us with one final thought. The modern Sampson is a philosophical ideal, for sure. But his core principle, that deed action, it's really a challenge to all of us. So the question to leave you with is this. If you were to treat your own life as that singular, powerful act of will, what would you create?